Well, good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. It's the first Thursday of the month, which means we're in the kitchen with Across the Fence, where I'm joined by our guest chefs, Carolyn Peak from Williamstown, along with Deb Plumley and Lynn Jarvis, both from South Hero. They've each prepared some of their favorite slow cooker crock-pot recipes for us, which are nice to enjoy, of course, on these winter days or any time of the year. As we all know, Carolyn is always talking about and using her vintage crock pots to whip up some great recipes. So we're going to let her start off.
Okay. Well, I walked in and they said, "Here comes the queen of crock pots." So I said, and when the queen arrives, that's on time. Anyway, I have some kind of neat, fun recipes today. And I'm going to start right off. This is a pizza fondue. And it is a mixture of pizza sauce, browned hamburger, some cheeses, a little bit of spice, and then you put some tortilla chips around it, scoop it out, and just enjoy it. I'm going to just let this little guy sit up there so that you can see what it goes with. But it's just a really nice snack that you could have, you know, watching football or basketball or whatever, and it makes plenty of it, so when all the guys get there to watch, they've got enough to keep them going for a while. My next one is called Special Seafood Chowder, and my husband and I really like chowders and soups and everything, so this one here is quite the favorite for us, and it's just your soup, your fish, some corn. It calls for cream corn. I put in a can of cream corn and a can of just regular corn. And then there's the potatoes and things like that. And then it's got the half and half, or you can use half and half and half skim milk. But you've got a really nice chowder for your lunch. Now, to go with that, and actually the bread is going to play double duty today. Yes, you can make bread in your crock pot. You just mix it up, put it into a bread pan, or a pan that will fit, a cake pan that will fit your cooker, depending on whether you have a round one or a long one. And then you just let it cook. And so I'm going to take a piece of this out, and it is a whole wheat. I used white whole wheat bread. You could use plain whole wheat, whatever your family likes, you and your family. So you have a really nice bread to have with your chowder. Now, I am also on my plate going to put, just a moment, my viewer recipe, which is from Mary Stedman of South Hero, and she says this is one of her favorite crock pot meals, and it's inexpensive to make. And this is a chicken and rice dish. Now, I don't know if I can tip this enough so that the camera can show you what it looks like, but it's just rice, cream of chicken soup, some onion soup, and then some onions, so it's a nice oniony dish, and cut up chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So we can have that with our bread, and we've got a nice start for a meal there, because bread goes good with everything. Whoops, here. I got my cards mixed up. Can you believe that? Of course, we've got to have dessert. And I have a really easy, really nice chocolate pudding cake. Now, inside of a dark pan, you don't really see the chocolate cake all that well. So I'm going to put some out in a bowl for us. And all it is a cake mix and some instant chocolate pudding. And I'll get this down where the poor cameras can see it here in just a minute. And you just put that in your crock pot for a while. If I can get it to come off the spoon, we'll be all set. And then, thanks to Lynn, we have some whipped cream on there. I was going to wish for some and have him just hand it across to me, but that didn't happen. So there's some whipped cream, or you could put ice cream onto it, whatever your favorites are. So you have your whole meal from the appetizer at the beginning on through the soup, and then the main course and the dessert and the bread. You're all set. So now, you must have some things over there for us too.
I do, but you are a tough act to follow.
Oh, well, just remember, even if I'm an expert, an X is a has-been and a spurt is a drip under pressure.
I'll remember that. The first recipe I have to share is a vegetarian bean soup. And I adapted this from a recipe that was sent in by Carolyn Bourgeois of Vergennes. And I'll scoop some of this out here as I talk about it so you can see it. I use dried Italian beans from my garden, but you can use your favorite dried bean for this. Let them soak overnight, drain, and place in your crock pot. Then add some generous amounts of chopped parsnips, carrots, celery, onion, and a good quality of vegetable stock. For seasonings, I used oregano, some ground pepper, minced garlic, and cumin. And one tip that I did find is much easier if you mix your dried seasonings in your liquid and then pour that into your crock pot. Things will be better blended that way. Cook it on low about 8 to 10 hours until the beans are tender. And this is super, served with maybe some shredded cheese or a dollop of sour cream. Now, a weeknight favorite in our household is this pork and black bean chili. Using only 5 ingredients plus seasonings, it goes together fast. I used an inexpensive cut of boneless pork spare ribs. Those are placed in the bottom of the crock pot. And then you add chopped onion, chopped pepper, a can of black beans that are drained and rinsed, and a 16-ounce jar of a nice chunky salsa. This all cooks together on low about 8 hours, and as you can see, the pork is nice and tender and it just shreds. This is great topped with some sour cream as well, or maybe served with a side of rice. Now we have Carol Morse of Essex to thank for our dessert. This is a scrumptious, nutty apple strudel. And let me serve it here so you can see it. You slice your apples and you mix them with cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. Place it in a well-greased crock pot. Then you add a mixture of biscuit mix, milk, eggs, butter, sugar. Pour that on the top. And then your nutty streusel topping is brown sugar. I used walnuts. You could use almonds if you prefer that. With some butter, more biscuit mix. You sprinkle it on top. Then you cook this in the crock pot on low for about 8 hours until the apples are tender. Now you could serve this with some of Carolyn and Lynn's whipped cream. I'll just steal a dollop of it here. Or a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream would go perfect with this. So I want to thank Carolyn and Carol for sharing their recipes, and I hope you give some of these a try. And Lynn, you have got some fabulous looking desserts and dishes here.
Isn't it fun to do crock pots because you just put it in and let it go?
Yes, you do.
It's
You do.
so simple.
It is. It's great.
Thank you, Deb. Good to see you again. Well, everyone likes a good soup on a cold winter day, and this one that I'm going to show you takes only 4 hours to make, so if you're an early riser, you can have it already at lunchtime. Now let me scoop a little out so you can see it. It's my slow cooker broccoli cheddar soup. Delicious flavor combination. In here, it's some really delicious flavors. You have your broccoli, of course, you have some onions, you have your potatoes, and sharp cheddar cheese, all creating a delicious and wonderful flavor. Now I'm going to put a couple of crackers in, and we're all ready to go. Now doesn't that look good? A really delicious soup on these chilly winter days. Another crock pot recipe that I really like are sloppy joes. And I'm going to make some for you right here. Now, these sloppy joes can be made in about 4 hours, but that's really not long when you're working with a crock pot. And if you're cooking for 1 or 2, the ingredients can be put in the refrigerator for 2 or 3 days or put in the freezer. So this is a great recipe to use if you want to have leftovers. But as you can see, there's not a lot that comes with this recipe, so I don't think you're going to get many leftovers. But let me make some for you. Along with the hamburger, you'll find in here some delicious flavors, chopped celery and onion. It's all flavored with a nice chili sauce, some brown sugar, sweet pickle relish, and Worcestershire sauce. Now that makes a delicious flavor combination that I know you're going to enjoy. Let me get a little more on here. Oh, this smells so good. Put our tops on. And as you can see, I've got some chips and pickles here. And I hope all of you viewers have had lunch, because if you haven't, I know this dish is making you very, very hungry. Well, another favorite recipe of mine is slow cooker maple barbecued ribs. Here they are, and you can take a look at them. Just 5 ingredients. There's, of course, your ribs in here, some maple syrup, mustard, and a honey barbecue sauce. And if you look closely, you can see on the top some chopped onion that gives them a little more flavor. So this is a great recipe if you're having friends over or you want to get some of your relatives over. And just before serving, give them that special treat, a little Vermont maple syrup over the top. And doesn't that look good? And we're going to be enjoying these here just as soon as the show is over. Well, going along with my favorite recipes, I have a dish that was inspired by Ray Fleming of Walcott, Vermont. He sent a note and said he really likes baked beans made in a crock pot. Well, so do I, and it got me to thinking about a recipe that's been in my family for 5 generations. Hard to believe, but it's true. And we call it Graham's Maple Baked Beans. And let me show you these. These are easy to make in the crock pot. Along with the beans, there's onion in here, salt pork, mustard, ginger, and to give it that real taste of Vermont, a little dark maple syrup. And since I have it right here, we'll add a little more. Deb, doesn't this look good? We're all drooling here. So these are my maple baked beans. And again, if you have leftovers, these keep very well. This is a recipe that can be cut in half. So check our recipes. If you're cooking for 1 or 2, you can cut our recipes in half. Now this next recipe I'm going to slide over. It's in this West Bend crock pot. And I borrowed this from my friend Donna Barkham because I didn't have enough crock pots. And the good thing about this is that you can lift the top off and use it as your serving dish. Now, isn't that a clever idea? And St. Patrick's Day is next month, and this is my corned beef and cabbage recipe. So simple. You put the ingredients in the slow cooker for 8 to 9 hours. Onion, potato, cabbage, corned beef, and everything is so tender that you can cut it with a fork. Just a delicious meal, and we're going to be celebrating St. Patrick's Day early here at Channel 3 just as soon as the show is over. And quickly, I'm going to mention some other people that have sent notes. Judy has a list coming up, but we have many loyal viewers. Janice Cross from South Burlington, from White River Junction, Nancy Lee Harrison, Doris Moran from Eden and from Monroe, New Hampshire, Carol Now, and Catherine Gross from Essex Junction. We do read every letter and appreciate it. And this is my last recipe. It's a cherry pudding cake. Easy to make, and while Judy is telling you how to get all this delicious stuff, I'm going to get a dish ready for her special Valentine's Day.
What a treasure of recipes. Now, before I tell you how you can get the recipes, we want to thank some loyal viewers as well. Carolyn Lamb from Johnson, Gina Gaudet of Winooski, and from Wallingford, Carol Hart. We want to thank Bill Glenn of Shrewsbury, Helen Davis of Waterbury, and Barbara Mayo from St. Albans. Thank you so much. Now, you can get our recipes online from the Across the Fence website. Go to uvm.edu/extension and click on on the link to Across the Fence. You'll find the recipes on the left-hand side of the page. To get the recipes by mail, send $2 and a stamped self-addressed business-size envelope to Slow Cooker Recipes, Box 188, South Hero, Vermont, 05486. And remember, if you're ordering the recipes to include $2 and a stamped self-addressed envelope. The address again is Slow Cooker Recipes, Box 188 in South Hero. And if you send a check, please make it out to Lynn Jarvis. Once again, I want to thank all of our chefs and all of you for joining us. Best wishes for a happy upcoming Valentine's Day. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.
And a little